Welcome to Leading with Purpose, the podcast that's dedicated to helping you become the leader you aspire to be. Join us on a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and inspiration as we explore the world of leadership and personal growth. In each episode, we will explore the art and science of effective leadership, bringing you insights, stories, and strategies from experts and thought leaders across various industries. And now your hosts, Dawn Marie Wanhammer, Maisha B. Hoy, Janelle E. Taylor, and Dr. Sharon H. Porter. Welcome to Leading with Purpose, the podcast that's dedicated to helping you become the leader you aspire to be as you lead, empower, inspire, and achieve. I am Dr. Sharon H. Porter, Editor-in-Chief of Vision and Purpose Lifestyle Magazine.
I'm Maisha Hoy, CEO of BSHG LLC, which manages MaishaLemonadeStand.com, QBob, and Customer First Marketing.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dawn Bornheimer, founder and chief impact officer for Mission Inspired Consulting.
And we are super excited to have our guest today, Miss Trina Holman. She is a speaker. She is an author. She's a certified Maxwell leadership coach. And I am super excited that tonight she is the guest on Leading with Purpose podcast. Trina Holman, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Absolutely. We are always just in awe of the wonderful guests that we have, and you fit right in. And so we're just going to start our conversation because I really want you to talk about the RespondAbility leadership. We have heard so many different versions of leadership, and I must say this is one that I'm not familiar with.
Well, it is unique. It is something that just developed because of life. And I think so many great ideas, that's how they happen. But RespondAbility leadership really is simple at its core. It's about how we respond to life as it happens to us. And as leaders, we face different challenges every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. And we must have the ability to respond to daily challenges, to major crises, to whatever comes our way. And so RespondAbility leadership came from exactly that, from my own life experiences and that of my mentors and those that I have met along the way.
I absolutely love that. It really gives me, it puts me in the mind frame of situational leadership, basically, really focusing on the situation at hand and responding appropriately to that. And so I can definitely see how that RespondAbility, and I love saying it, first of all. I can see definitely, yes, I can see how that really can help shape and form a person's leadership through their journey. So I can't wait to dive in a little deeper to that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Trina. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. I love talking to leaders, as Dr. Sharon alluded to, and I love talking to leaders who focus on women who lead. No pun intended there. But my question is about that moment of leadership, right? For me, is it a moment where you know you're a leader, or someone appoints you as leader, where you step out sometimes out of your comfort zone and say, I'm a leader? So for you, maybe what was that moment where you said, I am the leader, or was it appointed?
I think it's an evolution process for all of us. I don't think anyone is born a leader or not. I think it's something we all have in us. And in some ways, every single person leads at some point in their lives. When we choose to really foster those qualities in ourselves, that's when we begin to evolve as a leader. For me, it started early in groups like 4-H and junior achievement, which fostered entrepreneurship for high school students. And then that just continued on in my life. And I was able to step up, not just professionally, but see myself as a leader personally, in my family, in my community. And so for me, self-leadership is at the core of all of it. We have to recognize those qualities in ourselves and always, always, always continue that growth process.
So tell me again, so self-leadership, what exactly does that mean as self-leadership?
Sure. I think self-leadership is all about nurturing those qualities within ourselves that make us a good leader. And I don't really like that term, good leader, bad leader, but the skills that it takes to influence others, to communicate clearly to others, to earn their respect, that all comes from within. You can learn all kinds of processes to different leadership principles, but none of that matters if it's not coming from within inside. And you must be able to harness that to, in my opinion, to thrive as a leader. So it all begins with self-leadership, and then we get to share that with others and bring them along on our journey. That's the honor of getting to be a leader.
I understand. Take what's within you and share it with others.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, Trina. So when we first met, one of the first things I adored about you is just how approachable you are. And I find you to just be very genuine. And maybe that self-leadership you're describing is exactly why, because you're leading from the inside out, which I'm so grateful to be able to learn from you and learn alongside you. One of my questions is really about the work you're doing in your community. I know how deeply you feel about your community. I know that you've done some really great work, and I'd love for you to tell our audience a little bit more about how you see yourself as a leader and someone who is taking a leadership role in your community to help better prepare women especially, but to prepare your community for whether or other things that are to come.
Excellent. Thanks, Dawn. Like everything, it's multifaceted. And I think seeing issues, seeing challenges, seeing opportunities is something I feel blessed to be able to just have a vision for where I want to go with that. And for me, it is taking women alongside me. Some of the biggest challenges in women's leadership today is, of course, gender parity and facing stereotypes and trying to break through those boundaries, but also it's a lack of mentorship, women to women. We've made great strides in empowering women as leaders generally, but we tend to compete with each other and sometimes don't offer to reach out a hand and pull up another peer along with us for fear of that competition. And we don't have to do that. So to share in my community for me means to help other women understand how to navigate the challenges that we face. And one of those is crisis that happens to us daily, and sometimes in greater forms than other. A crisis can be defined as a flat tire, right? Or it can be a natural disaster, which my community local community recently experienced. Each of those throws off our day. As women, working women, professionals committed to our family, our work, our community, we are juggling a lot already. And when something else steps in the way and attempts to derail us, it's not enough to just respond, right, in the moment. We can make great mistakes that way. So for me, it's all about being prepared. And I have taken it upon myself to use some horrific experiences of my own, and the leadership work that I've done, my certifications, and just other experiences to package up and share that with others, to build them up and increase their confidence, their communication, their assertiveness. And I think to kind of quote a song from one of the movies that my kids watch, we're all in this together. And we need to approach it together. So that's my goal. I hope to influence 50,000 women by 2027. And it's a lofty goal, but preparing to be powerful leaders. What better work could I hope to do?
I love that. And the proactiveness to not only our physical safety, personal safety, but our opportunity to remind us all that we're not alone in this. And so whether it's your virtual community or your local community, there's an opportunity to come alongside another person that you can assist and mentor, but also to look for that same level of support from another individual as you look to deepen your own impact. So thank you for offering that and for the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So one of the things that I saw that your course really touch on is crisis readiness. What are some key actions that maybe our viewers could take to really enhance their crisis readiness?
Absolutely. I start with being prepared. I think that is just the number one the number one action to take is preparedness. Now, how do you do that? What do you do? What are the components that need to happen to be prepared? That's a deeper reflection. But I think number one, you have to foster a growth mindset, right? If we stay in our own little tunnel in our silo, we're not going to grow. We can't think beyond the immediate. So reflect on what we've learned from our past experiences and where those might take us in the future. Are we at risk for certain vulnerabilities? Sometimes it's hard to ask these questions of ourselves, but when we dive deeper into that, we learn more about ourselves, and in turn, we're better able to serve others. We have to focus 100% on communication and assertiveness, right? I think sometimes as women, we can step back when it's time to step up. That's culturescape. That's I live in the South right now, and sometimes, being a good Southern woman historically meant just keeping your mouth shut. I know lots of Southern women that would actually fall out of their chair at me saying that, but it's sometimes an unspoken rule. We must step up and be confident and strong in making demands of ourselves and setting boundaries for others, understanding how to relate our needs, how to relate the needs of the moment, and then not being afraid to put a stop or a start to actions that are happening in front of us. Those are essential to being prepared. And then when something happens, wow, it's so empowering to know I've got a plan. I feel ready, and bring it on. Whatever happens, I feel confident in being able to step into my power, ready to serve, ready to lead, ready to just solve whatever problem happens to be in front of me.
You know what, when I hear you say that, what I think about is really women finding their voice and their place, right? And I think within the last decade, more women are finding their voice and their place
Yes.
in everywhere, in the marketplace, in the home, just everywhere, in the boardroom. And so
Yes.
I guess I want you to talk a little more about that confidence, because I truly believe you talked about women from the South, and I'm originally from the South. Um,
Oh,
and confidence is what I lacked early on. And it was mainly, and I tell this story often, it was mainly because of my Southern accent.
oh
It
no.
it stopped me. It stopped me in my tracks for years. Not speaking up, just because, if you sound, and I want to say country, and I'm gonna put that in quotes, people think that you're not as smart or you're not intelligent. And that does a whammy on your confidence, on your self-confidence. And so once I put that past me and used that for fuel, actually, and embraced my Southern accent. And I lead with that in most spaces when I have to get up and introduce myself. I just start with that because once I put it out there, I'm okay. So I just want you to talk a bit more about the confidence that women need, because I truly believe that that is one of the key ingredients to finding your voice, is to have that confidence.
100%. And, I was very shy as a young child, and then kind of started coming out of me once I got to middle school. About the time everyone else felt very awkward, I was figuring out, I don't have to be like everybody else. And I'm okay with that. And I got involved in theater, where it helped me to find my voice. I stopped feeling fearful of speaking up and speaking out because of the confidence that theater gave me. But fast forward into my professional life, and I started going backwards again, feeling like I wasn't enough. How could I be a leader when I doubted making crucial decisions, when I feared not being able to juggle all of the demands? I had, at one point, working a full-time job, finishing a degree, going to school full-time, 4 teenagers at home, and a disabled husband. Trying to juggle that all, I lost a tremendous amount of confidence, even though in retrospect, there was no reason to, because I was doing it all. I just never felt enough. And it held me back. Now, that really kind of ticks me off, because I'm not the only one. Why do we shrink when we should be expanding? And that's been such a foundation in the work that I do, because I agree, Dr. Sharon, we must focus on our confidence to be able to not just excel at what we do, but to enhance our contribution to the world, to lead with purpose. And confidence, it's at the root of it all. So finding that confidence takes work sometimes. We have to practice, we have to fail, and we need to be okay with failing, because in every perceived failure is a learning opportunity. So if you look at it that way, the more we fail, the more we learn, and the better we're going to become. You've got to be able to take risk and put yourself out there, because then when you feel yourself succeed, that is amazingly empowering. But if we stay shrunk in a corner, it can't happen. So, like we talked about before, offering a hand to someone else to pull them up and help them lead and see themselves the way others see them, that is essential to to building a strong network, a support network. And with that, we can all overcome whatever we think is holding us back, because I promise you, you can get past just about any hurdle you've.
I love it. I love it all. I thank you for that. I thank you for that. That really struck a chord. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
That struck a chord with me as well. And I never do this, but hopefully Dr. Sharon will forgive me. But if you feel inspired by what Trina just said, please post it in the comments on our YouTube page, because I'm kvetching whatever that word is. And so Dr. Sharon already alluded to, because of me working with Dr. Sharon and Dawn and Janelle every week, and we have these fabulous, fabulous guests, and we have fabulous, fabulous women who are already, as you said, leading with purpose. How are you measuring your impact, right? So when you're talking to people, maybe there's a story you can share with us. I don't want to cry by the end of it, but maybe there's a story you can share where you can say, I spoke to this woman, she heard me, and now she's doing this, because I think that will inspire more people than what you just said 5 minutes ago.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Let me think here for just a second. There are so many great stories that can be shared. And I think one that comes to mind is a mom who has 4 kids like myself. So I immediately related to her. And she was trying to build her own business, but while she found success, in the middle of it, she received a cancer diagnosis. And heartbreaking, just that. And the fears, the decisions she had to make, it was incredibly overwhelming. But she had an amazing spirit about her. And even the days she wanted to quit, she said, I'm not going to, but I need help. I can't do this alone. And you know what? That's one of the things that holds us back the most, when we don't say, you know what, I could use a little help right now. And it's a little funny me saying this, because I am one of the world's worst. I think I can do everything by myself. Nope, don't even ask if you can help me, because no, I can do it. No, I can't. We don't live in a vacuum. We need others around us, and when we allow them in, we all grow. We all become better for it. But this sweet lady, she let me into her life and let me mentor to her. I don't think it was me. I think she did all the work. I think I just supplied some information to her. It's not about the words. It's about the actions she took. But because we spoke about feeling prepared, feeling confident, feeling secure, personal safety, psychological safety is a huge part of who I am and the work that I do. And it goes beyond just self-defense. I practice what's called empowerment self-defense, and that's about prevention and preparedness. Everything about my life is about being prepared after years of not being prepared. So coming alongside, Julie is her name, and being able to say, look, these are some steps you can take to boost your confidence. Let's work on these one step at a time, and working together, getting feedback, sharing the hurdles that she faced. We were able to knock down some emotional barriers, some mindset work that she needed to do to believe in herself. And how many of us have needed that? I'm a prime example of that. I had to do that inner work and believe that, one, I was worthy to move forward, to progress, and being having the feeling that not just I should, but I could, and I needed to. Imparting that into Julie helped such a tremendous amount, because suddenly there was a switch in her brain. Everything else after that made more sense. And so she learned how to set boundaries, to say when she needed rest, or when she needed help, or when she needed to be able to do what she normally did before the cancer diagnosis. And her support network had to be there, but they wouldn't know how if she didn't share that. So that's as much being assertive as taking command in a crisis situation in a professional environment as well. It's all intertwined. We're these symbiotic beings that you can't separate personal and professional completely, right? When we're in any situation, it's us. We're there, and feeling confident, striking down that fear of failure, asserting ourselves, and commanding that respect with our communication. I think those are essential. That's what helped Julie. And I can tell you that she, was it I think it was 3 weeks ago, she got an all clear that there were no more cancer cells in her body. And she celebrated by inviting her community in. She did acknowledge, I didn't do this alone. You all came with me on this journey, and look now, what are we going to do from here on out? What are we going to do together? And I admire her with every ounce of my being. I learned as much from her as I could ever impart.
I'm glad that you were there for Julie. I am glad that you are here for us. And Julie, if you're listening, welcome to the Cancer Survivor community. We can do it. And thank you so much, Trina, for sharing that story with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is the heart I was talking about. So thank you for sharing. We have such a beautiful opportunity, right, to allow someone else to borrow our belief in them until they have it in themselves. And, Julie rose to the occasion inside of your mentorship, inside of your little nudges and your invitations for her, and was really able to then reflect back to everyone with gratitude. One of the phrases I often use, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, is we teach people how to treat us. And so when we think about setting boundaries, when we think about being assertive, when we think about stepping up and taking a leadership role, it's one thing to say the words, but it is another thing truly to be in action. And so as we demonstrate our respondability, as we demonstrate our leadership, as we demonstrate the need to come together and say, we are not alone in this. Talk to me a little bit about that piece, meaning how do you help your clients and the people you serve to understand their role inside of building that network and connection around them so that people do truly understand how to honor their boundaries and how to come alongside them in a meaningful and thoughtful way?
Well, I think, as I mentioned earlier, it's about doing that inner work and understanding where you're starting from, because we're all at different stages of life, in different stages of our growth. And we have to honor where we are. And my job is to meet my clients meet them where they are. And that's where we begin. There cannot be a cookie cutter approach to a growth experience. So it's all about a personal plan. And the mindfulness work, I was never a meditation it's the word I'm trying to say. I was never a fan of meditation. One, I can't sit still. I have a lot of trouble with that. And learning from others, how to do that, starting small, building up, and it doesn't have to look any certain way. I was able to listen from within. I was able to hear myself for the first time ever. And that's one of the most important things that any of my clients can do is to really hear themselves, to hear the words they're using when they speak of themselves, to hear in their head the thoughts that they're saying to themselves. And we can be terribly mean to ourselves with our words and our thoughts. And one of my sayings is always that thoughts are things. And I obviously that's been around a long time, but I embrace that more than ever, because I think what we put out into the world comes back to us. And so overcoming self-conscious, subconscious fears and doubts starts from exploring our own mindset. I think affirmations are a wonderful beginning. They work differently for every person. And I actually have a friend who she records your own voice and puts that on a track with subliminals. So you're hearing your own voice speak to you. And it's beautiful to be loving and caring to yourself. And it makes a difference. So that's where we start. And then we just continue to build from there. I think we talk about strategies and what our needs are. How do we face challenges? That's the number one topic that comes up. And whether I'm coaching on personal safety, psychological safety, crisis ready leadership, those are all challenges. And sometimes the challenge is just what you're going to fix for dinner, and it can be overwhelming. But when we feel like we've empowered ourselves to be confident and make good decisions, even that is a huge win.
No, thank you so much. And I think it ties back to your original comment about self-leadership, right? It's recognizing not only that you're capable, but that what you think and feel matters, and paying attention to the words that we say to ourselves, but what we also allow others to say to us, and or the opportunity to share our needs and not dismiss them. And so I love that you're doing this work. I am confident that it is changing lives, and I'm so grateful to have you join us and talk a little bit more about this today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Trina, Miss TK Holman, this has just been so amazing, so rich. So, I have all of us up now because I just want to make sure, give Dawn, Maisha an opportunity if they do have another question that they want to ask before we have you give all of your information, because undoubtedly there is someone out there who could really use you. And so we definitely want to make sure that you get your information out there. Dawn, did you have another question for Trina?
I think as we close, I'd really love to just hear from you. We have an audience that's mixed, right? Some of them are emerging leaders, and they're really just beginning to embark on their leadership journey. And oftentimes we all at our core have some of the foundational skills to work on. So if you were speaking to an emerging leader, what would you suggest? Where should they start with their own self-leadership?
Definitely. That is such a great question. And I have a huge heart for emerging leaders. The climate today, as a new professional, is tremendously different than 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And so more than ever, I recommend find a mentor, find someone to walk along with you, learn from them. I promise they're going to learn from you too. And take this as an experience. It's, you don't finish school and stop learning. All of life is a learning opportunity. And we need others to come alongside us, like we've talked about. So find a mentor, someone who's willing to share their time, their talent, their voice with you and help you to find your own voice. Then I recommend reading The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker. It is a book about personal safety, but it is about so much more than that. It's about understanding fear and the positive role that it has in our life. I think those are two amazingly wonderful, substantial moves you can make, and just commit to yourself to never stop learning. Personal development is your key to always growing, always expanding, and that's where you find success.
Well, great book recommendation. I don't remember if that you are the reason I read it, but I certainly have most recently read it. And you're right, it is about so much more than personal safety. For me, it was the opportunity to remember the power of our intuition, the power of that inner voice and that whisper. If it tells you not to go or not to do, there's a reason. And just trust that and make a different choice. And maybe you'll find out 5 minutes, 1 hour, 3 days, a year later. But oftentimes there's a reason. And I think of my friends who stayed home the day of 9/11, or the ones that, missed the train. There are moments in life where you will learn later what a beautiful opportunity it was to tune in. And so I think we can all learn a lot from that book. So I'm so grateful you recommended it to our audience. Thank you, Trina.
Thank you.
Trina, thank you again for being our guest on Leading with Purpose. We do want to give you this opportunity to definitely share your contact information, share your social media, where people can follow you, and just continue to keep abreast of all the wonderful things that you have for them.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sharon. I appreciate that. Dawn and Maisha, it's been so wonderful talking with you today. For your audience, that something I've said has resonated, something in our conversation today has tugged at you. Look for more wherever you find that, but I hope that you would reach out to my contacts at let's see, my website is tkholman.com. And then you can find a special guide that I've put out. It's a free download. It's 7 steps to develop crisis-ready leadership skills. If you go to tkholman.com/7 steps, you'll find it there. All of my contact information is on the website. Feel free to connect with me, to reach out, ask questions. I am happy to share with you and have a conversation if you're just wondering what direction you need to go. I'd be thrilled to listen and see if I can be of help.
Thank you so much again. We have enjoyed this interview. Listeners and our viewers, we want to thank you as well for joining us with you. And again, I am Dr. Sharon H. Porter.
I am Maisha Bihoy.
And I'm Dawn Marie Bornheimer. As you navigate your leadership journey, remember that leading with purpose is not just a philosophy, but a commitment to making a positive impact.
And if you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your network. And don't forget to subscribe so you will never miss an opportunity to explore the intersection of leadership and purpose.
Continue to lead, empower, inspire, and achieve.
And until next time, lead with passion, lead with positive intention, and by all means, continue to lead with purpose. Thank you for joining the Leading with Purpose podcast. Please join us every Monday for a new episode.